Alrighty, YouTube, welcome back to Shigua. Today we're going to be doing something extremely different, something that you have never seen on the channel, something that you may have never even thought that you would see on the channel. We're going to actually be doing my top 5 music of 2025. So if you don't know, I make music myself. I absolutely love music. This isn't a plug for that or anything like that, but I mean, maybe it is. Maybe the Shigua album is coming out. No, okay. But yes, I'm a big fan of music. I'm a big fan of anything that has noise to it and good noise to it specifically. And so I'm going to be giving my top 5 singles of the year and the top 5 albums I listened to this year. Only caveats is that they had to come out this year. There's a lot of music from before that I was listening to as well, like 2024 and back, that won't make it into this list, but who cares? First honorable mention, and all of these songs are gonna be playing in the background. This channel isn't monetized, so who the fuck cares? First honorable mention we have is Ripple on My Back by my boy Sowski2X. He dropped this song in around like April, I think. I still think it's his best song to date. Just his delivery on all of the lines are so good. I really like his flow on the beat. The beat itself is really good. I'm pretty sure his boy Jay made it, if I remember correctly. But yeah, great song. I think it really deserved at least a mention in here because I was listening to it quite a lot this year. But going on to the next honorable mention, we got Something Familiar by Unflirt. This song literally randomly came up on my YouTube homepage and I was in love with it the millisecond I heard it. Like, her vocals are so quiet but so like pronounced at the same time, and that's actually something that I like quite a lot and something that we'll come back to later in this video when I'm talking about a separate artist, because I just love it when artists do this so much. Not only does she have such like a nice voice, but it's so like soft yet expressive. And I know that's like it's like the very typical like critic thing to do, is to say something and then have like the juxtaposition of it. Soft but aggressive, hot but cold, you know, like it's like the only way I can put it. That shit is just genuinely so good. I don't know what she put into that song to make it so good, but it's so fucking good. Alrighty, we're on to the actual list now. Number 5, we have This Is the World, I Made It For You by Magdalena Bay. What a great song, genuinely. It has such like a cool sound to it. I really can't pinpoint what genre this is. It might be genreless. There's so many different genres that they take from that I personally think music like that is genreless, and that's the kind of music that I like. But yeah, such a great song, such a great sound. Everything is mixed so good, and obviously everything on this list is gonna be mixed good, but specifically this song had some really cool mixing. Near the end, there's this really like fuzzy bass that comes in to kind of accentuate the crescendo, and I love it so much. Also, I mean, I'm sure I've said this before, her voice is just so nice to listen to. I genuinely love their music so much. I've been getting into it a lot recently, especially after hearing this single. On to number 4, we have Sunshine When It Rains by Oleka. A theme you'll find with me is that the music that I enjoy the most starts out soft and ends in this big crescendo, and that's exactly what this song does. And the way it builds up into everything is so fucking cool.
I see you every day.
Bro, like, hello? Like, that's just fucking gorgeous. Like, I originally found this song because I'm a huge Quadeca fan, which you will find out about later in the video. She did vocals on another song that we will touch on later. I loved her vocals so much, and so I was really like looking forward to hearing more from her. And when she dropped this, I was just like, damn, damn, that shit is fire. I was genuinely just so in love with it when I first heard it. I swear it was one of my most listened to songs this year. I know it's only going on number 4, but I would say that there's songs that I listen to more throughout the year. I know what would be number 1 and what would be number 5, so that's about it. Going on to number 3, though, we have Do It by Underscores. I've been a little bit of a Underscores fan for the past couple of years now. If I would have done a video like this last year, her album Wall Socket would have been on that list 100%. Well, the deluxe edition, because I know the main album came out in 2023, but the deluxe edition coming out in 2024 is when I found it. I definitely would have put that on the list very high, too. I listened to that like fucking crazy, to the point where I was listening to it on a road trip with a friend of mine so often, and he hated the songs after it because of how much I played it. Not even because they're bad songs, but just because I played them so much to the point where he hated them. And fuck you for that. I could listen to that album every day for the rest of my life and I wouldn't get bored of it. I really like how Underscores uses so many different like sounds in order to make her music. Again, that's something that happens a lot in my music rotation. It just sounds like a mishmash of everything. This song specifically has sort of like a country-esque feel in a way, while still feeling very pop. I'm not a big fan of pop music. I personally think a lot of the biggest pop music is kind of soul soulless in a way. Somehow Underscore still maintains being able to make a song fucking bang while making it a song that could get very popular, which I love from her. She even did a music video where the choreography in it was so fucking cool. Like, I kept rewatching it over and over again because I was just like, damn, this girl can dance. You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit is sick. I don't, this is something about like her herself, but she has her hair like down, kind of like how mine is, but on the sides, she has dyed headphones. And I think that is so fucking like cool. I've never seen anybody do that before. And if they have, like, I've never seen it. That shit is sick, dude. Like, what the fuck? It's genuinely so cool. But yeah, now going on to number 2, we have Audio Stalker by Jane Remover and Lucy Bedrock, I think. A very big turn from the songs that we've heard before because it's very like loud, abrasive, like in your face, sort of like rage music almost. But the beat is so fucking sick. I'm pretty sure Jane Remover produced this song, and I'm a fucking huge fan of Jane Remover's production. Like, we'll get into that a little bit later. Her fucking production is ridiculous to the point where I'm just like, how the fuck do you do this shit? Like, genuinely, it's so confusing. I've tried to make beats like hers, or just music in general like hers, but it just doesn't, I can't. Like, it's not fucking possible. She just has like such a creative vision when it comes to sound. It's very inspirational. There's one specific sound in this beat where it's like on the, like how you poiking on the beat. It just sounds so fire. Like, what even is that noise? It's such a nice noise. Or maybe it's not even a nice noise, because if I were to hear that like on its own, I'd be like, what the fuck? But in this beat, it just fits so well. But yeah, what a great song. I'm pretty sure the main artist is Lucy Bedrock, and Jane produced it and did her own bit on it. But yeah, great song. And now we're on to number 1, which is my favorite single of this year. My friend D actually showed me this song. I had heard of the band before. I didn't catch wind of their single until she showed me it. Wow, this song is great. And I am talking about Gifted Every Strength by Loathe. What a fucking great song. I found Loathe from their album called I Let It In and It Took Everything. I really like specifically Screaming and Is It Really You on that album. And so when I found out that they made a single, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll listen to it. This shit is so fucking sick. It's genuinely like an album of its own in one song. It's like 6 minutes long and there's like 5 different parts to it, each part sounding completely different to the last. There's so many like cool textures. The mix is fucking insane. There's one specific part where it kind of goes into like double time almost. I don't think that's actually what it does, but it sounds like that, where it's like, and then you have like the insanely fucking cool, I know he didn't, but it sounds like Mick Gordon did the guitars on this song. Fucking insane. Just such cool textures, such cool use of the pedals and shit that they have. I am absolutely in love with every single aspect of this song. There's slow parts, there's fucking rager parts, there's screamo parts, which I'm not even a big fan of screamo, unless it's a black singer, which is Loathe. But yeah, such a fucking insane song. I cannot believe they even thought of this. Like, how do you write something like this? I thought about that a lot this year, but this one specifically, I was just like, damn, that shit's insane. But with that being said, we're going on to the albums now. So I got 2 honorable mentions as well. The first being Surface Tension by Dev Lemons. This was a nice little album from Dev. I didn't find her through this song, but I originally started liking her music a lot through a song by Dev called Give Mama a Hug, which that song is just fucking cool. Pretty sure the producer is Jondrin Huang. I'm definitely fucking butchering that name. But JH did a fucking great job on the production of that song. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure most, if not all of the songs on this album are produced by him. I think that was a great choice by Dev because he is just fucking crazy. Yeah, I'm looking at him right now. Every single one of the songs is produced by him, and some of them are written by him as well. Most of them are written by him as well. Fucking awesome production on this whole thing. It kind of sounds like a pop-infused rock album in a way, but with some really cool textures that JH is really good at. My favorite song on the album is definitely a song called Nothing Changes, just because of its like really explosive crescendo into just like a really nice decrescendo that just, it stuck with me the most out of all of these songs. There's definitely some heavy hitters on here, like the first 2 tracks, Nice Try and Media Train. I definitely think it was a very good way to start the album, especially going into Face, which is a much more calm and somewhat collected song that again goes into a big crescendo, which I enjoy quite a lot, and then ends in this really cool like halftime section where it just kind of feels like it's bringing the first 3 tracks together together in a really nice way. But yeah, that's just an honorable mention. I won't go too far into it. But on to the next album. If this album would have came out earlier in the year, it definitely would have been in my top 5. I only fully listened to it so late in the year that I didn't really think it could have gotten a spot, just because I didn't get really a chance to connect with it that much, which is Stardust by Danny Brown. There are some really fucking cool sounds on this album. One of my favorites being a song called 1999, which literally just sounds like dial-up internet taking 16 bumps of and then like almost a screamo passage from John Askus. I had never heard of him beforehand, so I'm definitely butchering his name. I'm pretty sure he produced this song as well, and holy fuck, dude. Like, I listened to a couple of his other songs and they're genuinely just like that, and they're insane. The production on them is so... I've never heard anything like it. Maybe you could say like Aphex Twin or Antoji, however you would say him, but even then it's just so like different from either of those. I personally wouldn't even say that it has a genre. I would say it's its complete own genre. And then obviously some standout tracks with Quadeca, the tracks with Underscores, the track with Jane Remover. He has a track with Fentanyl on this one, which I was just like, damn, what the fuck? Like, Fentanyl and Danny Brown, I would have never thought about that, especially after knowing that he did music with Kendrick Lamar before. But I was just like, damn, that shit's crazy. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool songs on this album. I obviously enjoyed 1999 the most, but a close second and third would definitely be the 2 Quadeca songs, just because I love Quadeca's production more than anybody's, which again we'll get onto later in the video. Yeah, just some really cool tracks on this. I think it's a really good step into direction, and it kind of like accentuates the idea that Danny Brown is sober now. Before, he was making all these like crazy, like, it felt like the songs themselves were on drugs as well, but there's some like sort of clarity and brightness to this album that really like shines on how Danny's sobriety has been affecting him in a positive way, which I think is really fucking cool. Obviously, you know, you could go back on that by just listening to 1999, but I still think that even with that one, it has such like a meaningful message to it that it would also talk to Danny's sobriety in it as well, but in a different way than the rest of the tracks. But yeah, it's a bunch of really cool songs in this album. There's like some pop influences on a lot of the songs. Obviously, Danny's rapping on all of them for the most part, but yeah, great album. I had already known about it, but like I said before, if I would have found or listened to that album earlier in the year, I definitely would have given it a higher ranking on this list. But yes, on to the actual list. Number 5, we have Black British Music by Jim Legacy. Jim Legacy is a friend of mine, and I found his music through him, but I was like blown away at how good it was. There's a lot of really cool production on this album, especially songs like Context or Big Time Forward. Like, anytime I listen to even just like a second, I'm already like bobbing my head and shit like that. There's a few standout songs for me, like New David Bowie and SOS. I really liked those songs, as well as, like I said before, Big Time Forward. I really like the more like melodic and something that just kind of like flows in and of itself, which I really like. But yeah, honestly, I really don't have much to say about this one. It's just fucking good. Like, it's genuinely just such a cool album to listen to from start to finish, and it's something for everyone. I think that this music is music for everyone. Even like a fucking country fan or something would be able to listen to this and be like, damn, this nigga got bars or something. That's why it's number 5. I definitely didn't give it as much attention as the rest of the albums on this list. But yeah, on to number 4, we have Lower by Benjamin Booker. Now, I had no idea before this year who Benjamin Booker was. I tried listening to like his most popular music to see if I had heard him before or something like that, and I had never heard him in my entire life. But I was randomly scrolling on Album of the Year, and I found his album, Lower. After hearing the first song, I was just like, damn, these like guitar textures are so like rich and warm, and I really like them a lot. And so I started listening to the whole thing, and I fell in love with a lot of the tracks on there. I originally went in listening to the singles from the album, which was, I believe, Show and Tell and Same Kind of Lonely, which those songs themselves are fucking insane. Same Kind of Lonely being one of my favorites on the album. My absolute favorite being, and mind me with this one, but Rebecca Latimer Felton Takes a BBC. That's my favorite song off the album, not only because of the name, but because of the song itself. It has a really cool crescendo using like a cello and shit like that, which I love. I think there's some really cool textures, some really cool songs on this album. I would say that in hindsight, because I locked this list in pretty early at the end part of the year, I would say I would have put this more closer to 5 and Black British Music closer to 4. On repeat listens of Lower, I definitely noticed that I'm skipping the last 2 tracks quite a lot, those being Heavy on My Mind and Hope for the Nighttime. I don't think they're bad songs. I just think that they're not as exciting as the first 9 tracks of the album. Everything from the first into the 9th has such like a nice sound to it, but there's something about Heavy on My Mind. I would say Heavy on My Mind is closer to being like the first 9, but Hope for the Nighttime, I'm just not a big fan of for whatever reason. But the first 9 to 10 tracks are so fucking good that I think that's why it would be at number 4. I specifically like a lot of the messages on a few of the songs, like Slow Dance in a Gay Bar, where just like feeling so lonely that you kind of need to like break yourself out of your complete comfort zone in order to feel something again when it comes to love. And with other tracks in the album feeling the same way, like same kind of lonely, literally having in the title. While this album sonically sounds extremely warm, it comes off as so cold in the delivery of the vocals and the writing of the lyrics themselves. Benjamin Booker has such like a nice, like calm and soft voice, yet it breaks through the track in such a cool way. I found that on most of the tracks, he's actually like whispering into the microphone, but either the gain on the microphone is turned up so much, he has such like a commanding way of pushing his voice forward that even though he's whispering, it just breaks through the mix somehow. And on my favorite track of the album, RLF takes a BBC, I would definitely say that shows it the most, because in the crescendo of the song, there's so many like loud and abrasive noises, but he's still whispering and it sounds so powerful still. Absolutely great album. I think this one is more my style of music than Jim's album, which is why I put it at number 5 and this one at number 4. But Jim, if you get some electric guitars on your next album, it'll be at number 1. But yeah, moving on to number 3, we have I Heard That Noise by Quickly Quickly. And I know I literally just said that because Stardust by Danny Brown, I didn't really like become connected to it until like the end of the year. I literally only found this album a few weeks ago. The album itself came out in around like mid-April of 2025. I didn't find it until a couple weeks ago. I've known who Quickly Quickly was for years. I had found a single of his, Get Some Rest, I think it's called, back in like 2018 or something like that, like a very long time ago on SoundCloud, before I even knew what fucking Spotify was. And so finding out that he had a new album, I went to go listen to it and I fell in love with it immediately, like after the first listen, which rarely happens, which is why it's so high on the list, even though I just found it a couple weeks ago. There is so much cool shit on this album that I'm kind of like sad I didn't find it earlier in the year, because I fucking love this thing. I would have listened to it so much more. My absolute favorite song on the album is a song called Hero, and a good number 2 is a song called This Room. There's something about the melodies on this album that are just so fucking like intoxicating, especially with Hero, like
Dragging your feet with your eyes half asleep again.
like how like that is so fucking sick, dude. Like, I really like the closing track on the album. I like more experimental sounds on albums and stuff like that, and You Are like sonically isn't very experimental, but the way it presents itself is. It's around like a 10-minute song. Even though it's 10 minutes long, I find myself coming back to it quite a lot. I noticed that the repetition of the middle part of the song, it kind of like puts you in like a trance. It's just it's just that over and over again until it starts incorporating more guitars and more drums and stuff like that, and it kind of hits like a crescendo but then goes right back down. It kind of feels like you're going on a wave, which is something we'll get into later. And I really like how you can just like sit back and relax and listen to the song. There's no vocals on this part of the song either. You can just kind of like sit with the instrumental and flow with it, where it gets more loud and powerful. Then you start like rocking back and forth even more throughout the song, and then it hits right back down into the calmer pocket, which I fucking love that. There's something about it that's just so cool to be a part of. And then, oh my god, I almost forgot to talk about this. When the song starts hitting like the swing on the drums and everything just starts feeling like a completely different song, yet they just like change the drums a little bit, like holy fuck, bro. Like that shit is so good. And it literally, the first time I heard it, it gave me the stankest of stank faces of all time. And then just right back into fucking calm. Like, holy shit, dude. Like, that is just fucking insane. Like, the writing on that is great. I don't know how many people are actually, like, in Quickly Quickly as, like, a band or whatever. If it's just one guy or if there's, like, fucking 20, regardless, it's fucking amazing. I would say it's up there with some of my favorites, like Radiohead or, Radiohead. I can't think of anybody else. I think solidifies it at a number 3. I personally, I know if I would have found this earlier in the year, it would be number 2. It cannot beat my number 1. Absolutely not. Nothing can, in my opinion, for this year. This album was great. So for number 2, we're taking it in a completely different direction again and saying Revenge Seekers by Jane Remover. Now, this album is just fucking crazy. I said earlier that Jane Remover's production is genuinely just so almost annoying how good it is. Like, I keep trying to replicate her sound and I'm just not able to. And I'm just like, fuck, I wanna incorporate some of this stuff into my music, but I can't because I know, like, she just does it so fucking like well. I don't know. Jane, if you're watching this, hit me up. I need your textures in my musicals. Every single song on this album is something that I could replay on its own. It as a collective thing is just so fucking sick from start to finish. I absolutely love so many of these tracks. Some standouts being Twice Removed, the opener, into Psycho Boost, which is just fucking crazy, Dream Flasher, Dancing with Your Eyes Closed, Professional Vengeance, and then the final track, which is JR. Holy fuck. I could have honestly said every single one, but those are just the tracks that just kind of like scream at me. Specifically, my 2 favorites being Professional Vengeance and Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost actually has Danny Brown on the track, which a track like this being so fucking crazy to the point where I think it even has its own genre, which if you don't know, Jane Remover actually created her own genre called Dariacore. I think that's fucking insane. But this song being so crazy and something I've never heard before in terms of like a beat or something like that. I know, I'm sure there's music like it out there. And Danny Brown just kind of like effortlessly rapping on it, which I'm noticing that he's doing quite a lot of this year, hopping on these like diabolical beats like 1999, Psycho Boost, and a few others that I'm just not remembering off the top of my head. They're just fucking crazy and he's just able to so effortlessly flow on it. There's like a joke, or maybe it's not even a joke, maybe it's real, that Danny Brown can rap on anything, and I 100% think that's true based off of his performance on this album and even his own album. The amount of excitement from this album, each song in itself is just so fucking crazy, and then it goes into like a little darker moment with Dark Knight Castle, right back into like the hardest fucking drop I've ever heard into JR. Like, that shit is just insane to me, how she's able to just so effortlessly, or I wouldn't say effortlessly, make it feel so effortless while probably being a fucking pain in the ass. I do see a lot of stuff on the internet about Jane Remover making like the same music over and over again. I completely disagree with that. I think she uses similar motifs. I don't think she makes the same music because everything sounds different even when she is using the same motif. Like, I don't remember exactly which song it is, but there's a song where she uses a motif that she uses a lot, where it's like do 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 do. And I think that's really cool because there's a couple other songs that have a similar motif to that, if not the same notes on them. I really enjoy when people do that. To give an example, Radiohead doing Morning Bell. I know this was kind of like an accident for Radiohead, like they didn't specifically mean to do this. They have a song called Morning Bell that was released twice, once on their album Kid A and then another time on their album Amnesiac. They're 2 completely different songs, even though they're the same song, if that makes sense. I think that's kind of like a similar thing to Jane. She uses like similar motifs in a lot of her music, which I think is really cool. To give an example, like the Spider-Man songs, did you know the Spider-Man songs, or the bulk of them, are all the same notes just played differently? Like, I'm sure you could find a video on it somewhere, but I thought that was fucking cool when I heard it. And it's kind of, it's a similar thing to what Jane does. I don't remember who said it. I think it was Quentin Tarantino, but like, good artists don't take inspiration from things, they fucking steal. And I agree with that specifically. And Jane is stealing from herself. That just kind of proves how fucking good of a musician she is. And for that reason, I think her album deserves number 2, but oh my goodness gracious, number 1 will never be topped for me until he drops something else, and that is Vanisher Horizon Scraper by Quadeca is by far the best album of this year. Now, obviously, we know that I'm like probably the one of the biggest Quadeca fans ever. I actually met him. I'm going to pop up the picture over here and on my hand. Before I even get into the album, I want to tell a little story about my time meeting Quadeca because it was so cool. So late 2024, I went to a concert with a couple friends of mine where the headliner was Gene Dawson and then the opener was Quadeca. And obviously, I was going for Quadeca. I hadn't really listened to Gene Dawson's music beforehand. I was at my friend's house and we went and we drove to the stadium, and we were late actually by quite a lot, and we missed Quadeca's entire set. So we went in and we listened to Gene Dawson's set, and it was really good. Even though I didn't know much of his music beforehand, I was still finding myself dancing and stuff like that, and it was a good time. I just really wanted to hear Quadeca, or you know, whatever, just like see him in person or whatever. And I'm normally not that kind of person. Like if there's like a celebrity or something like that in front of me, I'm just like, all right, cool, that's just like some fucking dude. I kind of see Quadeca as like similar to my favorite artist of all time, which is Tom York, and you know, just Radiohead themselves. All of them have just such crazy skills that all together are just fucking insane to listen to. But Quadeca is just one guy. Imagine like the production quality and just the overall magnitude of Radiohead's albums just produced by one man. Like that's just fucking crazy to me. I was kind of taken aback. I was like, damn, I'm about to meet Quadeca, bro. Because after the concert, the security guards came over and walked up to all of us and they said like, if you guys can get back because the vans are coming out, and so are the artists. The artists are going to come out and they're going to be signing stuff. I didn't hear artists like with an S, and so I was like, oh shit, wait, I gotta ask if Quadeca's coming out. And so I turned to one of the security guards. I was like, hey, is Ben coming out? And he looked at me. He was like, yeah, he is. And I was like, oh, thank God. I really want to meet him. He came out and people started lining up, and I was a few people back. When it became our turn, I handed my phone to my friend and I asked her to take a picture of us. I walk up to Quadeca and I was just like, hey, you know, I kind of started doing like a little bit of a bit, and I kind of regret it a little bit now, but I walked up to him and I was just like, hey, you know, I missed your whole set. I'm so sorry, man. And he was like, oh no, I'm sorry. That sucks. And I was just like, oh no, it's not your fault. You know, we were late, blah, blah, blah. There was a lot of traffic, etc., etc. He's like, oh no, that's terrible. And then we just kind of like paused for a second, and I was just like, let's take a picture. Like that. Even my friend who was there afterwards, she was just like, bro, why are you being so weird? I was just like, I don't fucking know. I was doing a bit, but it didn't really land. We took the picture, and I'll pop up the picture again here. So we take this picture, and I remember I turned to him. I didn't think about this before. I turned to him and I was just like, oh, by the way, we have a song together. And he looked at me, and I'm pretty sure his like exact reaction was like, oh, really? We have a song together? And I was like, oh yeah, we haven't made it yet, but we have a song together in the future. And he looked at me like, that was a good one. And he literally said to me like, oh dude, I've never heard that one before. I was like, I think I responded saying like, well, I'm glad I could be your first, or something like weird like that. That just made my entire like week or month even. That made my whole next 30 days. I was just like, damn, I met Quadeca, I made him laugh. I told him something he's never heard before, which I think this man's a fucking genius. So like for a genius to have never heard something or thought of something like that before, I was just like, damn, I might be a genius too. No. But yeah, so then he asked me like, oh yeah, so you make music? And I was like, yeah, I do. A lot of it's inspired by you. A lot of it's inspired by Radiohead. He was just like, well, those are some two good places to start. I was like, yeah, they are. And then I was just like, okay, yeah, I don't want to get, you know, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'll get out of your hair. As I was walking away, he was like, all right, I'll see you when we make our song together. And I was just like, fuck yeah, I'm fucking, that's fucking sick. That's so fucking cool, dude. Obviously in the moment, I'm just like, yeah, I'll see you. Yeah, like that. I even made the whole crowd of people laugh there too. And I was just like, damn, bro, that was such a great moment. I fucking loved every second of meeting him. He's such a nice guy. For somebody who I'm so in love with their music, I'm the type of person who doesn't like say that they're a fan of anybody. I personally think every single person is just a person. I have such a high amount of respect for him for how much of a musical genius he is. And I know this is like the glaze of all glazes, but I do not give a shit, dude. Like, I personally think he is like this generation's Radiohead in terms of just like sheer like magnitude of the production and stuff like that. A lot of my music is heavily inspired by his, and so whenever the Shigua album comes out, Dead Weight coming out middle this year, you'll hear a lot of the influence on that from Quadeca. You'll hear a lot of the influence from Radiohead. You'll hear a lot of the influence from just everybody that I've mentioned on this list. I just realized I haven't spoken a lick about Vanisher itself, but getting into the actual album, holy shit, this album is fucking amazing. This whole section of the video is just going to be an entire Vanisher album scraper. What? This whole section of the video is going to be just like the biggest glaze of Vanisher Horizon Scraper. I think this is the album of the year, at least for me. I know for a lot of people they were saying it was overproduced or album of the year slop, which I think is just such a fucking stupid thing to say. And overall, the whole album is just like from head to toe, just a crazy listen. Starting with the first song, No Questions Asked, I think it's such a cool thing, and I will say the opener of my album is very heavily inspired. The whole album itself, to give a quick little thing, because not too many people have heard about this, my album is a journey through the last few years of my life, just because so much crazy shit has happened. I won't get into the specifics of the album. You'll hear it in there. It'll be kind of like subtext, but you know, it'll be there. Each song itself is a single destination of where I was during the time that something happened. Like there's a song in the airport where I'm kind of like journeying into my new life, which was turning 18, you know, just having a lot of anxiety. My cat Shigua kind of being my driving force. And then throughout the album, we go to different, from place to place. The whole thing is set in sort of an airport or just like a flight, like a travel path, that kind of thing. The album ends off at the final destination, which I won't spoil what it is, but you've definitely heard the song before if you've watched any of my videos, because I'm not gonna say which song it is specifically, but you've definitely heard it before. And that song is just, it means a lot to me, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear it. The whole like traveling abroad and trying to find purpose in life is a big part of Vanisher, where Vanisher Horizon Scraper is the journey of a sailor trying to find the horizon. And I'm not 100% sure exactly what that means. I try to not get too bogged down with the details when it comes to stuff like that, because I like being enticed with the idea of something when it comes to music rather than what it actually is. And for me, this album is a sailor kind of trying to find who he is. And so, you know, enough about my album. This album, starting with No Questions Asked, it's such a cool way to start an album. You immediately get sucked into the idea that it's a sailor on an ocean with No Questions Asked, and this repetitive in a good way, but repetitive sort of like over and over again. It just kind of sounds like you're on a boat, just kind of like floating through the waves. And the way he introduces new instruments in this song is so cool, because they come out of nowhere, but they fit so perfectly. I need to figure out what fucking drug or whatever these artists are taking to where they're so like able to just convey a feeling with just like a few textures, basically. And to be fair, Quadeca has a lot of textures in this entire album. Specifically on this song, it just feels so much that you're out at sea. It really feels like you're going somewhere. Throughout the song, with these layered vocals and stuff like that into the main chorus, I guess, he's just saying, I'll be there when no one is, over and over and over again. And then, you know, he says the title of the song, No Questions Asked. And this motif of the harmonies being used later in the album as well, it's such a cool like full circle moment. And I think this is one of my favorite openers, if not my favorite opener of the entire year. I don't think there's a single other song on any of these albums where it just makes you feel like you're inside the album and you're taking this journey with this person. It doesn't really have like a crescendo, but it kind of feels like the whole thing is a crescendo in a way. And then it ends off with these really nice harmonies. Then it goes straight into Waging War, which the start of Waging War, it's such a good attention grabber. It immediately goes from like these really nice harmonies into just which I think is so fucking sick. And then Waging War is definitely, I mean, I'm gonna say this about all of them. Waging War is one of my favorites on the album. There's so much happening, but it's so coherent. I actually watched a review of someone who doesn't listen to music like this, and they just didn't get it, and it kind of pissed me off a little bit, but I kind of understand it at the same time, because for somebody who doesn't like music like this, there's so much happening, and you have so much in your ears. For somebody who loves music like this, it 100% is just so coherent in the way it does everything. The mix is just fucking insane. It sounds so like loud while also being so contained at the same time. Typical fucking critic behavior, loud but contained. Like, bro. One of my favorite parts of Waging War is this little drum break that it has, where I don't really know how to explain it, but it's just so like vibrant. This is something I forgot to mention like at any point ever. I actually have synesthesia, and so whenever I'm listening to music, I can kind of like see colors. On this song specifically, I'm seeing blue, which is really cool. How, I don't know if he also has synesthesia, but it perfectly encapsulates the feeling of being like out on the sea, because obviously water is fucking blue. And then after Waging War, going into Ruin My Life, it starts out so soft compared to the first two songs, which are admittedly pretty loud and explosive at times. Ruin My Life just starts off with such like a calm little moment. Then it kind of crescendos with his vocals. It crescendos in such a cool way, because it doesn't actually crescendo near the like 2-minute mark. It just kind of like feels more open in a way as well. And it has this really cool passage by Harry Wilkinson, I think his name is, from Maruja or Maruha, or however you pronounce their name, a band that I wasn't familiar with until this album came out as well. His vocals just seem so in place, even though he sounds nothing like the rest of the album. Then it goes into this really cool part where there's this really cool like cymbal bell ride that I fucking love. if you have like the symbol here and it kind of like goes into this little hump, this is the bell of it. If you hit that bell, it has a very specific sound, and I'm like 99% sure that's what is being hit during that point, and it just sounds so sick for the song. Like it's genuinely just so cool how it makes it sound so different while being a similar pattern to other things on the album. And then the song ending off with such a nice little guitars, and you can hear the boat in the background moving and parts of the boat creaking and cracking and stuff like that, and you can hear the water and whatnot. It's just such a cool sound to end off on. And then it immediately goes into one of the singles that were released before the album called Godstained. Godstained opens with these like really cool guitars and this really cool string work. It sounds so like accessible in a way. It just has like a really nice vibe to it. It's a vibe that anybody could get into. And then it kind of goes into this like bossa nova almost. I'm pretty sure it might actually be bossa nova. You kind of just hit like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do anything but do that. And then it goes into this really cool, like, almost like a rap passage near the end. And I'm not 100% sure who the drummer is. I know the drummer, it might be the drummer who was on tour with him. Absolutely great work from him. I'm not sure if he does the drums on every part. And actually, now that I think about it, he doesn't do drums for everything. Like there's a lot of kind of like hip hop style drums, not just on this song, but on the entire album. This album has such a cool fuse of like folk music and hip hop and even some like rock in there with like some of the electric guitars that are so hidden under everything, but they really fill out the sound of the entire album. One of my favorite moments of this album is the very end of Godstained, where when I listen to the single, it ends off in such a way that you think it'll transition into the next song, but you couldn't hear it until the actual album came out. It's literally just like a and then it goes into whatever the next song would be. I remember thinking like, dude, I need to hear what this next song is. It definitely is a banger, and it 100% is. And that song being At a Time Like This. And you've definitely heard that on the channel because it is my hype up song. I listen to it every single time I'm about to record, and it really gets me into the headspace to be creative because it's such a creative song. I remember one of my favorite moments of an In One Sitting during Silent Hill F when one of the characters said, "What? At a time like this?" I was like, "Oh, at a time like this, mention." And then I played the song. There's something about this dude, I don't know.
Where would she even
He
go?
barely had any reaction to his friend
like
dying. What? At a time like this, mention. At a time like this. I keep my soul on high alert. Okay. Sorry. I love that song. I remember even when I was doing a video with FaZe Rug, and not FaZe anymore, when I was doing a video with Rug, I asked him if he could play At a Time Like This. He even played it later when we were filming, and it's one of my favorite moments of that entire year. It's just such a nice thing. I'll actually play the clip now.
Compare the energy of like me in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru versus now.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's the come down.
Yeah, we had a little sugar high or whatever.
I'm on a sugar rush. Okay, I got a good song.
Come on, guys.
No,
There's no energy back there.
I got a
song.
brother. I got a good song.
Okay.
I absolutely love that song. Rewatching that clip over and over again is just such a nice little moment. I love that song so much, and for Rug to like know that and play it when I was with him as kind of like a, oh, I got a good song and that kind of thing. It was a really nice little moment, and I fucking love Rug for that. But yeah, At a Time Like This is, holy fuck, this song is hard. It has such an explosive start to it, but you have no idea where it's gonna go past that. Like for a song to start out so hard and then get even harder later on, especially when the synths start coming in, it's like an arpeggiated synth that's just played over and over and over again, but it's so intoxicating. Like every second of it is just fucking insane. Throughout a big part of this song, there's this really cool like brass sound that I remember watching his breakdown of it when he was streaming, and I was just like, the way he did that was so cool, and it really inspired me, specifically for a part of the song that I'm actually gonna play now. I know that he didn't actually use a brass instrument for this, but the sound, it's like it's so fucking cool. But I actually use like a trumpet in my song. Like that's one trumpet note stretched out but pitched so that it actually has like a which I thought was so cool. And it was definitely very heavily inspired by At a Time Like This, but with my own twist to it, because there was a story and a message that I wanted to portray in the song that you'll have to listen when the album comes out. By the way, Quadinkleberry, if you're watching this might be the time where we make a song together, because I need a rapper on this part of the song. I don't know anybody who else could do it besides you, Danny Brown, or my brother. So if you're watching this and you want to hop on the song specifically for this part, bro, I think you would kill this. And there's a very small chance that he sees this, but I think you could kill this. And I'm actually gonna play one little bit last part of Clockwork, and then we're gonna get on to the next thing.
I said it once, I say it again. I finish your first chance. I can't talk, got us stuck in a gym. But I like that sound when the invoice sound. In the back of the whole so fine. And I made the noise when my mind's out right.
That's enough. That's enough. You'll have to hear that when the album comes out. And maybe Quadeca will be on it. We never know. Sorry. But yeah, enough about that song. It's a fucking banger and you should definitely listen to it. You should listen to this whole album. It's fucking amazing. And then it goes straight into Monday, which is another one of the singles that came out, if I remember correctly. One of my favorite things about Quadeca is that he has such a cool range with how he can make a song that is just so explosive and have such cool crescendos while also making music that's so like sweet to listen to. Monday is a very good example of a sweet song that's a bit more accessible for everybody. The main melody,
Darling, don't you give up on a Monday.
that is just in my head constantly. I know I listened to it quite a bit when it first came out as a single, if I remember correctly that it was a single, but that song is just amazing. There's this really cool part of the song. There's this like drum break where it's like maybe like 45 seconds to a minute of just like the coolest drums. And I remember listening to it recently. I was just like, how the fuck did he even think about that? Like that's genuinely so fucking cool. And lastly about Monday, I'd say the writing on the song is so cool. The way he mentions things, it seems very much like Breakins almost. Breakins has like a really cool way of putting even just like the most simple thing. To give an example, on Monday, if I were to say something about like the latter half of the year being like parts of the year where I'm getting a little bit more seasonal affective disorder kind of vibes, or just getting a bit more depressed because it's that time of the year, he literally in this song says it's that time of the year where I start getting old, or it's that time of the year where there's smoke in my breath because he's smoking the pain away, or whatever you want to call it. It's that time of the year where I put on my hat, that kind of thing. The way he has so many ways to say it's fucking fall or winter, like that shit is just so cool. I really love his writing on all songs, but Monday is kind of like a standout song for me in terms of he's such a cool way of explaining a specific thing. There's not many artists nowadays that do stuff like that, and so when it's done and it's done so well, it's just so fucking cool. Moving on to the next song, Dancing Without Moving. Now this one is one when I first listened to it, I was just like, I don't really see myself coming back to this one. It kind of sounds a little bit more R&B inspired in a way, with how the bass line sound and how the drums are positioned and stuff like that. I'm not 100% sure if that's what he was going for, but that's just kind of the vibe that I get from it. This one definitely is one of the more catchier songs on the album. The catchiest in my opinion being the next song that we'll touch on, which is the next song in the album. Yeah, just a great song. I don't really have too much to say about it because it's a bit more flat in terms of the excitement. Not saying that it's a flat song at all. I'm saying that like if here is like a song that's just kind of like normal, it kind of just sits here basically the entire time. But yeah, great song. I personally don't have much to say about it because it's one of my least listened to songs on the album, just because I enjoy a lot more of the songs in the album. There are absolutely no skips on this album, 100%. Maybe the ambient track, but sometimes I just want to get into the next song when it comes to that one. Speaking of which, on to the next song, we have That's Why, which this is one of the songs that he actually teased on Instagram before the album came out. It starts off with this really cool sample. I don't remember the name of the song, but it has like some really cool strings to it, and it has like almost a spoken word passage by Quadeca, which, to be completely honest, me and my friend Gabe, and Gabe actually listens to Quadeca a little bit as well. He told me, and I kind of agreed with him on this, that the first part of That's Why, while we understand that it's like gorgeous, it just doesn't really feel like it's a part of the same song once you get into the actual like bulk of the song. But it does have a really cool crescendo that I very much respect. But then it goes into the actual bulk of the song, which I absolutely adore. The main melody, which is just, don't get any better than this life, that's why all right, over and over again for the most part of the song, and then it goes into a bit more of like a kind of like a rippity rap talk at the end of the song, which is really cool. But in my opinion, that's why it has one of, if not the best bass lines on this entire album. I really love how the mix is on this song specifically. It sounds so warm and vibrant. I could listen to this one every single day for the rest of my life. It's that good. I personally think this is one of my favorite moments on the album in terms of re-listenability. I don't really have much else to say about it past that. It's just so fucking good. I personally think the don't get any better than this, that's why all right part, I personally would have looped that for another fucking like 10 minutes because it's so fucking catchy.
Don't get any better than this. Flying, flying, that's why. Alright. That's why. Alright.
Like, that is genuinely just so intoxicating. I listen to that song quite a lot. It's just so full and banger. Going on to the next song, though, I Dream About Sinking. It's definitely a bit more of an ambient track. It just kind of like keeps the same level of excitement. And I remember first listening to the album, I had just woke up and I was just like, please don't crescendo. Like, please don't pull a fantasy world and just go fucking AWOL and go crazy. And it didn't, which I was very happy about. Not that I didn't like actually want it to. I would have definitely liked it if it still did. But the fact that it doesn't just kind of solidifies it as like a great ambient track. It's definitely one of the songs that I skip the most, even though I did say that there's no skips on this album. It's just because there's no vocals, it's just kind of, like I said, the same vibe for basically the entire song. It's a great moment in the album. I personally just don't think it's something that I would re-listen to a lot. It's definitely the least listened to song on the album for that reason. The ambient tracks on good albums are there for a reason, and I think it has a great reason to be there. It's a great song, it's a great production, great composition, and everything like that. It's just an ambient track, kind of like an interlude sort of thing. But moving on to the next song, which constantly scares the shit out of me whenever it plays. I'll give you an example of why. That fucking bell always scares the shit out of me for whatever reason. I don't know why. But yeah, Natural Causes, in my opinion, has the best melody out of the entire album. I've used this word quite a lot today, but intoxicating. It's just such a good melody. Natural Causes kind of seems like it would have been more of a I Didn't Mean to Haunt You era song, which I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is another album. It was kind of like his breakout into more experimental stuff for Quadeca. And while it has like a great point in this album, even just like the lyrics itself, it's talking about like people dying and kind of feeling like paranoid in a way, which would have fit a bit more on I Didn't Mean to Haunt You, but it does definitely have a good place and a good pocket in Vanisher. So for that reason, I definitely think it's near like the last 25% of the album for me if I were to give it like a ranking, but that melody is so fucking good. I don't really have too much to say about it just because it is a bit more of the same thing throughout the whole song in a way, but just because it's that doesn't mean it's bad at all. It's a great song, amazing song even. It's just, it doesn't really reach the heights that the rest of the songs do, in my opinion. But leading on to the next song, Thunder, with 3 R's and no E. This song is fucking, it's insane. It's such an explosive song while having these like really calm moments that still sound like hard. There's these claps on the latter half of the song. He said that they were like the most self-aware claps ever. Here, I'll play them for a second. I genuinely think if he would have used any other clap from that one, it would not have been as good. That clap is so perfect for this song because it kind of feels like hip-hop inspired song with all the, I think 808s on it. I could be wrong. Or it could just be a very processed bass guitar. This song is fucking insane. It was definitely one of my most re-listened to and one of the first ones that I added to my playlist after my first listens, but damn. I forgot to mention that, like the whiny, like string pulling almost. I don't even know what that would be specifically. It kind of sounds like it would be one note of an instrument like stretched. So if I'm right about that, make sure to like and subscribe. That specific moment is really fucking cool. Great song. I re-listened to this quite a lot. And we have 3 songs left. The first being The Great Bukanawa with Danny Brown, which it's such like a menacing beat. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It starts off with this like really cool sample, like slowed down really low, which makes it sound like creepy as fuck, but it's so cool in the same way. The song itself is really fucking cool. I really like how it kind of feels like Quadeca's rapping a bit more on this one, which I like. I forgot to mention as well, this song also has Danny Brown on it, rapping from the perspective of like a fucking sea creature. The sea creature being called the Great Bukanawa, which I think is so cool with the context of the album specifically. And it's actually a reprise of Danny's role goal on a Quadeca album of him rapping from the perspective of something either inanimate or non-personified. So in this one, he's rapping from the perspective of like a sea creature, but on I Didn't Mean to Haunt You, Danny Brown was rapping from the perspective of carbon monoxide, which I thought was fucking sick. I think the delivery on this one from Danny is a lot better than House Settling, which is where he was doing it in the first place on I Didn't Mean to Haunt You. And this one just sounds so much harder just because Quadeca's production just got so much more pronounced throughout the years. And he's really found like his pocket of where something sounds cool and different while also sounding catchy at the same time. Danny Brown absolutely fucking killed it on this track. There's a lot of Danny Brown this year that was just fucking insane. I really don't have much else to say about this one. It's just a really cool song with really cool vibes. I specifically like near the end of this song. I'm not sure what instrument is playing, but it's like I think that's fucking awesome. The whole, idea of the creature like rapping to the fucking sailor is insane as well. Going on to the next song, which is the second to last on the album, Foregone. Foregone is a really fucking cool one. It's a near an 8-minute song, but it really doesn't feel like it. It sounds like a church hymn almost, which I think is very interesting and definitely something that Quadeca has tried before, but has done a better job of now. Overall, it just has such a nicer vibe. This is another one of the songs that got released as a single. I think it was a really cool direction to take this because nobody would have expected this from Quadeca, 100% not. I think this song has such a cool ending to it, especially the sort of crescendo that it has at the end with all the drums and everything sort of hitting like big waves, which really feels like it's a part of the album in that way. His sort of like Disney-esque delivery on the song. Like if I wasn't so familiar with Quadeca already, I don't even think I would have noticed it was him because he just sounds so different on it. He's really singing from a different place in this song, and I think that's so cool. But yes, the ending of this song is absolutely fantastic. The drummer, whoever drummed on this, I'm pretty sure it's the same guy who did the drumming for other songs of Quadeca's, but he did a great job on this. And if it's just like something like Addictive Drums or just like a drum kit or something like that, like Quadeca did a great job of piecing it all together to make it sound like an actual drum kit. But wow, I'm amazed at how the song turned out in the end. It is a great way to end off that, going into the final song, which to have such like a lighthearted and almost like heavenly song go right before a very devastating moment on the album to close it off, I think that's great. But speaking of which, oh my goodness gracious, Casper, the final song on the album, is fucking insane. It features a spoken passage from Henry, like I mentioned before. It's similar in the same vein as Ruin My Life from before. I think it works so well for this part of the song. Then it really picks up because the first part of the song is very like slow and brooding and like almost it sounds like you're being haunted by a bunch of ghosts like floating around your head like you're in SpongeBob or something. It starts out at such like a soft little part and then just gets bigger and bigger as time goes on and then leads into something completely different. And the difference in this song, oh my goodness. So this part of the song actually has the same motif from No Questions Asked. I don't know if the overall song is in the same key as No Questions Asked, but it does use the same notes and it's sung in the same way as on that song.
Years of no expression left in bed comatose. The rain is torrential.
And then my favorite moment on what might be the entire album is going into the actual crescendo of the whole song. The biggest crescendo maybe on any Quadeca album. Not as much as Fantasy World, but oh my goodness, this song is just... it's amazing. And wait for this part. Oh my goodness gracious. Is that the sailor who was at the beginning, who's been following through the entire album, finally reached the horizon and scraped the horizon. That's hence the whole album name. Past that point, reality just starts like bending around him and then he starts drowning because of it. And holy fuck, the way he made it sound like the person was drowning is just fucking genius. It is so fucking cool. What a fucking way to end this album. And holy shit, I don't think he could have done it in any other way that would have been as meaningful as this part of the song. Like, holy Holy giggity, what the fuck? But yeah, that was Vanisher Horizon Scraper. There was a lot of 10s this year in my book, but this one is like fucking 11, basically. It's just so fucking good. With all that being said, that was my top 5 singles and albums of the year with a few honorable mentions. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like if you enjoy. Subscribe to become a part of the Shigua army. Leave a comment saying what I should do next. Love you. See ya. Bye.